Well, hello again. This has been Hitchcock Cross talking to you today. Happy Nation's Independence Day. 4th of July here. Um, just going to briefly introduce, I guess, the next themes that we're going to talk about here, um, which is simply this. We, meaning Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin, have been facing a sustained assault by the state of Wisconsin. The Department of Corrections, the Department of Workforce Development, Milwaukee Public Schools, and various school districts, all arms of the state of Wisconsin, have at one time or another in the past 6 months taken action to silence this clients of mine who appear on this channel from time to time in the guise of yours truly and discuss various matters about, again, how the state of Wisconsin governs the people of the state of Wisconsin, which is, it seems a sort of strange thing to do on this July 4th here to distinguish between the government of the state of Wisconsin and the people of the state of Wisconsin. But that's what we're doing here. That's what the state of Wisconsin is doing here. And let's be clear, this is in large part Tony Evers. It wouldn't be happening if Tony Evers told him to knock it off. Let's put it like that. That they, and let's be clear that we here at Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin feel that Tony Evers and the governor's office orchestrated the whole DPI MPS retrograde motion, and others. I feel that the governor's office is certainly giving the Department of Public Instruction cover for its part to play in all this, and particularly the MPS. The failure to apply the laws to MPS consistently, even when they were begged to do so, that failure. There has been a sustained attack on that. But I think more importantly, it's the Wisconsin, and really what we are going to need to focus on here going forward is the Department of Workforce Development. And if you don't recall, that is the agency here authorized by the state of Wisconsin to hear many disputes, including housing disputes, race disputes in workplace, public accommodations, public housing, that kind of thing. Unfortunately, I think we're pretty clear that the system, and particularly the DWD, is broken. The management at DWD is broken and refuses to follow the law. I think it's pretty clear that they are behind the scenes manipulating, and the management there is affecting cases and then pretending that they're not affecting cases. I think that they are directing their subordinates on what to do and pretending that they're not directing their subordinates on what to do. I think that that's pretty clear. I think that it's clear that Maria Selsor, the bureau director of the hearings and section, is writing decisions that ALJs are then signing with their own name and pretending that it's their work, but in fact, it's the statements of Maria Selsor. I think that the Department of Workforce Development is not fulfilling its mission. It's to enforce the Wisconsin Fair Employment Act. I think they are prioritizing the protection of bureaucrats, particularly those who go out and try to stifle people's free speech with lawsuits, defamation lawsuits, for example. I think that they are actively protecting themselves from democratic scrutiny. I think they're actively meeting to try to discuss how to stifle this channel, how to keep off the air, and how to allow the government, particularly the state of Wisconsin, to keep this channel from airing evidence, using ultimately public hearings for the purpose of allowing people to understand how their government works. So we are going to. I mean, it's astonishing that a channel with something like 5,000 viewers could attract so much retribution from the government, but maybe it shouldn't be. Certainly, we have spent about 6 months, you might say, putting our heads in the sand, not necessarily gathering information is probably a better way to put it. But I think it's also fair to say that we are at the stage where we don't need to gather information anymore. What we need to do is to start doing some filing and making things public and going from there. So we've got a lot of stories that we've got to talk about, particularly focused on the Department of Workforce Development, how they refused to hold a hearing for Teresa Falaron in the MPS case. And I mean, I think basically we just need to go through the list of biased decisions of the Department of Workforce Development in favor of the Department of Corrections, in favor of Milwaukee Public Schools, in favor of Milwaukee County here. And again, the issue isn't, I can't tell you how many clients I've had say, we don't mind losing when it's a fair fight. But we were told that coming to court was supposed to be us versus them, and it's a fair. They've got all the benefits, but it's supposed to be equal there. Well, I can't think of anybody who's appeared at the Department of Workforce Development with me who thinks that they had a fair day in court. And I mean, that's what the concept is here, is that the government, the state of Wisconsin, Tony Evers, is failing. You have a right to a contested hearing, and they are actively subverting your right to that contested hearing. And I think that is very problematic. So that's what we'll start out with, and I think we've got a lot of content. And I'm sorry I'm being boring about this and cryptic about it, but we're going to go through the Department of Corrections, letters threatening us over YouTube. We're going to go over the Department of Workforce Development's decisions, biased decisions by John Geldhart and Judge Reinhardt, Judge Benitez Morgan. We're going to go through all of those, and then we're going to go through the emails, certainly between Maria Celsor and others, and we're going to go through the emails that they refuse to let us have. And we're going to go through the statutes that say we have to have those emails. And we're going to go through everything here. So I think it's fair to say we're going to go through the lawsuits by ALJs against employment firms. We're going to do that. We're going to go read. We've got some documents here. And basically the story here, if I can put it in a nutshell, is this. The reason that we, meaning Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin, do not have content to show you is because the state of Wisconsin has actively prevented hearings from happening, has refused to appear on camera, and has met to thwart Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin, and has acted together, state actors have acted together to thwart Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin, to threaten Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin, and to threaten my clients, to thwart my client's ability to have a hearing, and because they don't like Deliberate Indifference Wisconsin. So, I mean, that's ultimately the concept here is that our free speech rights are being trampled on, stifled, chilled. But more importantly, my clients' free speech rights are being trampled and chilled. And I'd say most importantly, their right to a hearing, their right to the functions of the state of Wisconsin's Equal Rights Division, for example, its adjudicatory functions are being closed. That is to say that because bureaucrats working for Tony Evers do not want to be subject to democratic scrutiny, they are preventing people from having their day in court. And I think it's outrageous. I think it needs to stop. And on this 4th of July, I think that's our message here, that we're done putting up with it. So here's to let's get this done. All right, you with me? Thanks for sticking with us. I think we got it there. I mean, how could one possibly close without closing music? One has to often ask oneself, even more so on the 4th of July, don't you often find?